Afternoon and welcome, guys. Thanks for joining this afternoon for our live Q&A on careers in project management, or some title along those lines. Bit of background about why we're doing this really is because last month it turned into quite an organic session around answering the most commonly asked questions we get from students that are either considering a career in project management or people that are already in a career in project management that are looking to take their certifications to the next level. And it went down really, really well, to the extent that we had a few requests come in that they want us to do a full session, which is just a Q&A session, but rather than it just be with one or two people, you'll actually see we've got 5 or 6 people from the team, from career services, from the project management enrollment department as well, to sit there and take questions from you. Majority of you already sent some great questions in already, which are absolutely fantastic. So we'll be going through those throughout the list, but by all means, use the live chat to submit some more questions. We've got Liam on the webinar as well, who'll be monitoring those and putting some of those our way as well. So that's going to be the format for the day, for the next half hour to 45 minutes. Let's do some brief introductions though, because I think if we are going to be giving you some advice that could influence your career, or we're going to be answering some of your questions, it's really, really important to know where that advice is coming from. I'll start myself. I've been doing this for 10 years with the Learning People. I've got the privilege of heading up this team here, which between them have got close to 65 years worth of consultancy experience. A lot of that is pre-pandemic. A lot of that is the last recession we had. A lot of it was post-Brexit turmoil. So the experience you're getting is from consultants that have got a huge amount of experience. But that's me. That's myself out of the way. If I introduce Lewis to begin with, do you want to say hello, mate?
Yeah, hi. As Matt said, my name's Lewis. I've got experience of being a brand ambassador for Odeon, the cinema. I've got wealth of experience in customer services, and now I'm here to really help people. I've been here just under a year. And just been a huge success. We've helped, me personally, I've helped a good couple of hundreds, if not 3 coming up in just literally a few months. So it's really nice to see that everyone's really looking to progress, as it were.
Thanks, Lewis. And I think you kind of did yourself a bit of a disservice there. Your transferable skills and the fact that you've changed your career yourself puts you in a perfect position to offer such advice. And the feedback from your students it exactly replicates that. So it's great to have you on board. Some of you, I'm looking at some of the names here, have been with us before on webinars. So some of you may recognize Alex. But Alex, if you want to briefly introduce yourself as well, mate.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Alex, also one of the career consultants here at Learning People. This is now my 3rd webinar. So hopefully not getting sick of seeing me on the webinars, but it's just a good chance for us to get some kind of organic advice out to people that need it. Obviously all of the questions we run through today is a bit of an overview. Project management is so broad, so hopefully if you can take a couple of things away from the advice that we get today, then we've done our jobs, and hopefully that will take you into a conversation with us at Learning People, or doing your own research about the courses. But yeah, it's hopefully it's as good as the other ones that we've had before.
No pressure there then from Alex. Charmaine, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Charmaine. I'm a consultant here for the project management team. I've been here now for nearly 4 years, and I previously worked in recruitment, helping people move into their dream jobs, which is what I'm trying to do now as well.
And very successfully so as well, Charmaine. I think, let's be honest, over the last 4 years, you're well into the thousands of students that have come to you for advice that you've not only enrolled, but then gone on to subsequently pursue their dream careers. So well done to you. And
Thank
Sam,
you.
last year from you on the from the enrollment team.
Yeah, hi guys. I've been here for 4 years yesterday, actually. 4 years yesterday. I'm a team leader in the project management department. And I think, one of the things that continually is the most interesting aspect about what we do is just being able to get an overview of so many different levels of experience. And that sort of wealth of knowledge is something that we can impart on an individual basis, but just being able to do something like this and give a group of people guidance and answers to any common questions they may have is, I think, just something that means a lot to all of us in terms of what we do on a daily basis.
Well said. Well said. I think we often talk about the benefits of doing the work that we do. And I think it's that, we know that some of you are in situations right now where you're uncertain about your future. You've got questions about the cost of living crisis. You've got that scary jumping into the unknown. You may actually already be in a really solid project management career, but you're aware that the times are changing and you need to solidify your future. Whatever it is, I'd like to think that from the introductions we just given you, we kind of get it. We know how important the advice that we give you can be, and that's not us blowing our own trumpet. We know that you're relying on us to give you genuine, impartial advice that can really give you faith to make that next step. That leads nicely on to introducing Rachel, to be honest, because let's be honest, for all the advice we get, it's often what happens once you've enrolled that carries so much weight. And Rachel, I'm not going to do you any disservice. I think you can introduce your skills and expertise yourself.
Oh no, that was like a really nice introduction, man. Yeah, so basically, I'm here as a career services consultant with Learning People. I've been here just under a year now, and it's a fantastic group to be working with. We have so many students coming to us each and every day. So to give you an oversight of what we do, our focus is making sure that from a student's perspective, coming in and doing the project management certs, we're here to help you like navigate the job market and to make that ultimate career changes, as Matt and everyone has been talking about. So we've designed a 3-phase process that we would mentor all of our students through. But phase 1 particularly focuses on building professional brand, which is incredibly important for project management. So many different bricks and all the mortar that comes together to make yourself be that ultimate credible project management candidate going out into the market and into the industry. So we're here to help make sure that you're aligning yourself with what the market ultimately needs and expects, so that the transition and all that hard work you're putting into your exams ultimately pays off. So it's going through together in terms of researching, understanding how you're going to fit into the project management world and sphere. So what we'll do is help make sure you prepare your CV, prepare your LinkedIn, because that's going to be another ultimate huge moment of this online presence. So we do this in a one-to-one consultation with myself or one of the other members in the team. And we'll make sure that we bring this to the highest professional level so that you feel confident and you feel comfortable when you're going into the second phase, which is where the ultimate excitement happens, because you're getting out into the market and you're actually looking at those project management jobs. So what this ultimately means is, how are you going to have that online presence where you're applying to the jobs, building up a network, which we can't stress enough. That's probably one of the pivotal points, talking points within our team, is making sure that you've built a solid network of contacts for yourself, because one of the huge points of any job search is most people aren't aware that 30% of jobs are actually advertised. The rest are completely hidden. So this is what we're here to help you as a team. We're helping you basically navigate this. We make sure you have a structured plan where your networking strategies are up to par, so that you build really good relationships, you find those hidden job opportunities, so that essentially you're getting the just rewards for all of this hard work. And our final phase then is actually helping you prepare for the interview when that day comes. So we do intensive interview preparation sessions and mock presentation sessions as well. So yeah, this is exactly what we do as a team, giving you completely impartial advice. And one other thing then we do on a monthly basis is we offer monthly presentation sessions, so workshops where we basically get all of our students in, talk about different project management related topics, but also in general talking about each of the phases and how you can make sure that your CV and your networking and your interviews are all up to scratch. And that is us in a nutshell. Yeah.
It is in a nutshell, but you missed out one, unless I completely missed it. The success rate of what you and your team do is remarkable.
Yes.
What's the magic number, Rachel?
So, well, to be honest, for myself, I'd say it's 97. It's between 93, 97%, if not even higher. Like, to be honest with you, I'd say that every student that we have going through our team, it's our absolute, highest point that we make sure that every student is getting the job that they want. So to be honest with you, we're here until the end. So that's our rate, but by all means we stay with you until you get that result that you'd like.
And the exciting thing about that is, I pulled the statistics again the other day. It's actually creeping above 97% as well, and that's 97% of people that complete the 3-step program. It's amazing to think that they are now in a new job. And like you said there, do you stick with it? You stick with it to the end. That is above and beyond as well. When your license period finishes, once you've completed your courses, if you return to the students, so if you return to the career services team as a student, you'll still get their help and guidance to get you to the job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like maybe like as marketed as it would be, but yeah, 100%. You know, because your courses are one thing. You know, that's giving you the theoretical knowledge, but what we're ultimately here for is that you will see that job opportunity, whether it's assistant project manager or whether it's, you know, higher or it's entry level, and we're here to support you no matter what. So like in our eyes, there's no time frame on that. We just want to work with you and see you until the end.
All costs as well. See, one of the first questions that's come in from Vivian is, will that be an additional charge? No, that is included as part of your tuition fee with the learning people. You know, we're not here to just provide you with one service and then go on to a charge for another service. We believe it is a 360 route to your dream career. So the first part of that is very much the certifications, but without the help and guidance to navigate a modern recruitment world, that's pointless. So we don't charge any extra for that. That's all included in the tuition fees as well for you there. Okay. In terms of a couple of questions that we've sent in before we started this webinar, this one has come in from Andrew. So Alex, if you want to take this one, it says, are your packages made up of set certifications or can we choose what we want to study? It's a good question, that.
Yeah, really good question. Really good question. I mean, we offer, it's about 30 different qualifications in project management, all for different industries, different experience levels. So we do have set collections that we do have available, you know, for different experience levels. But ultimately, we can pick and choose of these different courses what suits you best. And that's really what the first call with myself, Lewis, Charmaine, Sam is all geared around, is speaking about your experience, what you do, and that helps me recommend which ones are best for you. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you can choose kind of 1, 2 certifications. You can do 5, 6, 7. It's really down to you. We've got so many different options available. I mean, if you had done your own research and you wanted to do one particular course, always mention it to us on the phone and we can offer that advice about that particular course. We're not here just to solely tell you what to do. It's the consultative process is us trying to work out and support you in what you want to do and see what best route is for you. So it's a lot more holistic, it's a lot more tailored approach. But yeah, if you go away and see one course that you want to do or one that's requested, by all means mention it to us and you can just do that if you want to.
Just to jump in there, Alex, there's a question in the chat that leads on from your last question, just asking how much of the classes. So you might just explain how that process works.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, what was the question, Liam? Sorry, how
so I'm just wondering how much are the different classes, the different certifications?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the different classes, so it's a one set tuition fee that we'd discuss with you on that consultation call. So they range really, you know, you've got kind of a few £100, kind of £800 for the kind of 1 or 2 courses. And then if you want to do multiple courses, that could be £2,500, £3,000. But of course, that process is to tailor that to you. So it's really difficult to say exactly how much they are without knowing which courses you want to do. As I say, we offer about 30, all different price points, all different priced exams. So we'll run through all of that with you on that first call.
Thanks, Alex. After 2.5 years, sorry, I still can't get used to the mute button and unmute button of using Zoom, but there we go. Anyway, Sam, how about you take this one? I quite like this one because one of the bit of background in terms of one of the things that we've dealt with a lot over recent years is the changing landscape, how COVID has impacted different professions, how different consumer habits has impacted different professions. And one of the questions we get asked quite a lot is that people working in retail, so people that have worked in retail management positions, TJ would like to know, is it possible to move from retail management into project management?
Yes, absolutely is the short answer. I think that's why it goes back to that importance of having that consultation initially. You know, we want to be able to find out every little bit of the experience that you have and be able to marry that up to exactly what you're looking to do. I myself had a lot of experience with students going in from retail management into project management. Ultimately, project management is using a lot of your management skills, but applying them to a larger sort of environment and taking on a little bit more, but the core skills of what you'll need, you'll be able to take and transfer into project management. So it's absolutely something that you can do, but naturally you will need some additional support and training to be able to understand those other aspects of what perhaps you haven't done yet. So I think really it's a combination of using what you already have and just building upon that.
Good answer. And to be honest, for that, you can read into any profession, right? It doesn't have to just be retail. I've said it on webinars before, but when we had somebody that was moving from construction into setting up, I think it was construction, was it, Rachel? And then setting up a testing center for COVID. That's one always to me was one of the best examples we'd ever had.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So like the thing that I love so much about the project management certs is that we really do have students coming from every separate industry possible. But then with those transferable skills and being able to come in and shape their own career from having their certs. Like I was just having a conversation the other day with somebody who is already a manager, but like we need to frame it in a perspective of, well, this is a project and this is a project, and your industry is one thing, and you've gathered so many skills that can be transferred across into different realms. So as far as we're concerned, absolutely, you have so many different potential things that you could look at. So yeah, I always get so excited when I'm speaking with students from varied industries. It can be fantastic, really, really interesting.
One thing I will say with that as well, if you have got previous soft skill sets or experience in management, that's why project management, when you look at salaries and potential, it's a bit more of a sideways move initially. It's not like, I mean, we do obviously IT coding courses. For some people, that's a complete reskill. You learn the skill sets you've never used before, where because project management is management, you're often looking at a salary increase straight away, or a sideways move and then a salary increase, rather than having to drop and then work your way back up. So obviously at the moment, cost of living, that's why a lot of people do the courses when they're looking at changing careers. So that's one thing that's worth bearing in mind, is you're looking at a more sideways or straight move up with your salary if you have those skill sets.
And I think that's a really good point. Sorry, Sam, but I think we might probably end up saying the same thing, having sat next to each other for God knows how many years these days. But I think the thing to remember is that you're never going to take on board an industry leading recognized qualification to the extent of, be it Prince, Agile, PMI or APM based qualification, and generally take a downward step. If you're going into this with the mindset that, okay, project management is a completely new job title, therefore I must start at the bottom, that's not the case. No matter how rewarding those salaries are, if you are already having a very successful career, but your sector or industry's changed, or you just want a better work-life balance, or you are looking to solidify your financial future, you're not going to drop. You really aren't. You're taking on board something that's suitable for you based on your skills and your experience level. It's only ever going to lead to an increase. And one of the favorite stats that I have of any of them is the one about the PMP. If you've got 3 or 5 years worth of project management experience and you can unlock the PMP as a route to certification, 80% of people that undertook that qualification saw a salary increase within a year of completing it. That's remarkable, when you think about the power of certification. But I could do a whole webinar on that, if I'm honest. Charmaine, I've got one here for you, actually. It's about the study method, because we do get asked this quite a lot. It said, are all the courses all online, or do I need to attend a classroom? And that's from Yusuf.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're all online, which is great because it's, really convenient to you, the student. You can do it around your current job, around your current, family commitments. So it's a really nice way to learn. You'll do it completely at your own pace and in your own time. And the structure is great as well. It's been designed to be really interactive, really engaging. So the feedback that I've been getting for the last 4 years from my students is that they do really enjoy it. So yeah, it's a great way to study.
And off the back of that, Charlotte, I've just seen another question here. This one's coming from Charlotte, and I think we get asked this quite a lot. It's linked into what you're saying. It said, I work full time and have a family. Can I study with you?
Yeah. Absolutely. Most of our students do, don't they? They do work full time. They've got families already, and it's a career change, that most people want. But yeah, absolutely.
And I think the communication piece comes in there, isn't it? Like if you are umming and ahhing about whether or not you think you've got enough time to do a course like this and fit it in, just talk to your family. If the chance are you are already, but you've got a good indicator about why you're doing this. I dare say the family might actually be the biggest driver that we have in 2022. So as long as you find a way that works for you, great. But the thing is, the days of having to plan your life around your education are gone. Your education in this format fits in around your life. That's for sure. Lewis. Now, I like this question for you because you seem to enjoy really speaking to people from IT backgrounds. So this is coming from someone called Andrew, who says, I work in IT. What's the best methodology to use for managing IT projects?
Well, as you mentioned, I love IT. So when it comes to sort of like IT project management, you obviously have to have a generalized sort of like foundation first and foremost. And there is one certification that really stands out, which is called CompTIA Project Plus. The whole point of CompTIA is to give you that foundation, the fundamentals, the more sort of like a framework to actually hit the targets of the projects. The difference between IT and sort of like a different industry like construction though, it's more leading towards how you're actually going to operate the people as well, because not everyone's going to be the same. Everyone's going to be a more different skill sets. Some people are going to be more on the advanced side. However, you need to be able to include everybody in different projects at different points. And a key factor in the IT is that it is a very in-demand sector, especially with what's happened with COVID. There are more and more opportunities. And it's a career path in itself, let alone going just one certification. And there's more that lead to more sort of like strategic side. There's business analysis side. There's more sort of like even further management professional qualifications. It's one of those industries that as we go into a more digital era, more and more data needs to be collected, more and more data needs to be analyzed, it needs to be put into practice at the same time. So having those key foundations is always, you need to understand the basics. You need to perfect the basics, as it were, to be able to move on more. So it's always nice to go for a CompTIA, and then obviously you can move on to other qualifications, like an ITIL, for instance.
I like that, Lewis. I do. And I think the CompTIA Project Plus, for some reason, sometimes actually often gets forgotten about. And it is such a really strong qualification. The fact that they're non, what's the word I'm looking for? Vendor neutral. There you go. CompTIA are vendor neutral, you know, so they will actually cover off within that course elements of Prince, elements of Agile, elements of PMI, APM courses, for example. That's really quite powerful when you think about it. So yeah, that is a useful recommendation there. So thanks for that, Lewis. Rachel, question we get here. I know you've already covered it, but maybe people are more interested in maybe the more granular detail a little bit, maybe about do learning people help with interview preparation? Now you've already covered that we do, but
you most certainly do. Actually, like I'd say a huge majority of our week can be spent just preparing and helping students with interviews. So even today, I've had 2 students where we've done like 1-hour sessions just preparing for their project management presentations and interviews. So we do them both because in our eyes, that's probably one of the main things that many people will get very nervous of. Like even when we're having a first initial conversation, it's like, I haven't interviewed in 10 years, in 7 years. It's that very like typical, like, oh my gosh, what am I about to get into? I've never, I haven't done this in ages. And so we want to take all of those nerves out of the situation for people, kind of be that like sounding board, because all of our backgrounds within the team come from recruitment. Very familiar with how companies generally tend to ask questions. We'll give the questions, but we'll also give very specific feedback, and it will be honest, but it will be like obviously in a very polite way. But because we have your best interests at heart, we want to make sure that you not only feel confident, but you go in knowing, okay, I've got all my answers very solid, I'm ready for this. And so, like every student when they come back, they say like they're so grateful. They're like, these questions came up, super glad we covered it together. And that's exactly what we want to see, is knowing that students actually feel like they've been prepared in the most appropriate way, because most people won't maybe have somebody that they can turn to ask those types of questions. So it's kind of like a solo gig, if you will, whereas if you have somebody else you can turn to, it really makes a huge amount of difference. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, there you go. That's quite comprehensive. Thank you. There's a couple of questions that have come in here that I want to definitely get to, but Imogen, you've asked 2 questions, and I think that these are they're pretty powerful questions, and because they're simple, but you'll see what I mean anyway. Firstly, you asked what courses do we offer, and then you're a little bit more direct in saying like which training is best for NHS organisations. Is agile learning more sought after now than traditional project management? Now that is a really kind of a big question to ask, and I think one of the things I'd say about that is when you split it or boil it all down, there's two types really of general project management qualification. Ones that are set planning tools, set methodologies. They're the frameworks that everybody thinks that companies want to deploy. So things like Agile, things like Prince2, for example, they are the most common planning tools of breaking a project. And yes, they do deal with elements of being a project manager. But in terms of the actual day-to-day elements of being a project manager and excelling and managing the people, managing the change, the HR side of things, you know, a PMI or an APM qualification really takes your knowledge and understanding to the next level. You know, if you see a job advert that asks for Prince2 as a minimum expectation, well, if everyone's got Prince2, then what separates you? What makes you a better project manager in that situation? And the most common enrollments we do are now collections that will include Prince2 and one of our Agile certifications to complement it. You know, if you look in your area, you might find 20, 25 jobs that will require Prince2. You'll also equally find 25, 35 that ask for Agile. So you've got far more job opportunities available to you if you've got both qualifications, but also it shows you're far more versatile as a project manager. I know that that's not directly answering your question. NHS still do lean heavily on Prince, but they are adopting Agile at a rate which makes them kind of hard to distinguish between the two. So if you have got the ability to do both, I really, really would recommend doing that, Imogen. I imagine you're already having a consultation or you're midway through the consultation process with one of our consultants. Ask them that question and have a heart-to-heart almost about what you think is best suited to you. In terms of the other qualifications we offer, Prince2, Agile, help me out guys if I forget some, Six Sigma, Change Management, ITIL, CompTIA Project Plus, PMQ, PFQ, CAPM, PMP. If it's worth its salt in the industry, we've got it as part of our portfolio. You know, we're always looking to increase our portfolio in line with industry demands, but that's a top level view of the qualifications we've got.
With Imogen as well, I'd say if you're looking to work for the NHS, such a massive beast, the NHS, it's such a large organisation that those projects won't always be the same. Prince2, more traditional project management, would be more suited to one project. So yeah, we always say have them both. You know, if it suits you and you're going to work for the NHS, then these projects can be so different that might require a different approach. So if you've got the knowledge in the two, you're in a much better position to land the role.
Well, you think about what we used to say, isn't it? One's a minimum expectation and one future-proofs yourself. I was saying that 10 years ago when I first started this job. It's still the same. You know, the Prince2 is not going anywhere, but Agile is just getting bigger and bigger alongside it. And when you work for such a wide organization, Alex is completely true there. I like another question we've had come in here. It came in a while ago, I think, about which PM qualification and knowledge would be useful for the HR sector. I'm going to just drop something in there called change management. Sam, do you want to talk about change management? Because that to me kind of stands out a mile as the obvious thing there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think change management is probably one of my first go-tos when I speak to anyone that has a HR background, mainly because of the fact, but not just specific to people in HR, because change management is one of the biggest sort of changes in consciousness that we've seen in the project management industry. The fact that you can't have successful project management without successful change management. Even if it's not quantified as being a part of the project, there's been some sort of change management. So what the course really looks at, the foundation, is change within an individual. So an individual's motivations, how you can keep them on board with the change process and keep them motivated and give them certain roles. And then change in the organization, which is more looking at successful organizational change and bringing together a group of people to facilitate that change. So it looks more, you could say, a holistic way of, looking at project management, not just a business focus. And it's something that, as I said, is centric really to any project manager in any space, because everyone's going to be dealing with an element of change at some point, particularly from what we've seen over the last couple of years. So I think that's the thing, is when it comes to professional certifications, just to sort of deviate to a slightly wider point, it isn't necessarily just about one course. It's about being able to piece together the most important aspects that the industry is looking for and that fits your experience and the industry you want to target. And one of the most common questions I get is, which one do I need? And the simple answer is, it often isn't just one. It is just about being able to find the right combination that suits you.
I think definitely adding an APM qualification alongside change management is huge as well. You know, for those that don't know, APM are like, they're the domestic standard bearers for project management. and their focus on people, their focus on diversity and inclusivity in recent years is huge and admirable, and something we get asked about a lot about the time. You coincide that with change management, you're well on the right stages for a career in HR project management. That's for sure, 100%. Just going through the question.
Sorry, Matt, I just want to make sure nothing's been missed there above. We have one there from Krishnakant. He's just wondering, does Prince 2 certifications contribute to a career in construction? I'm not sure if anyone touched on that already.
Oh, that's a good. No, I don't think we have touched on that. That's a good question. It certainly doesn't harm it. You know, I think this is a good chance to dispel a wider myth about certain certifications, that people, when they hear about a qualification, naturally associate it with a country or an industry. So for years, like, we got asked the question, isn't Agile just IT? Aren't the PMI just American? No, right? Every methodology has to start somewhere. It has to start in an industry. It's the brainchild of an organization or a group of individuals that develop a methodology. The very, very best ones become widespread across all industries and all sectors. And that's the thing with Prince 2 is probably no better demonstration of that Prince 2 is so widely spread in its use that it's no longer used in government projects or the NHS. It's found in construction projects, finance projects, retail projects across the board. The only advice I'll give to you is, if you do some research into projects that you really, really liked. I know it sounds silly, but go away and think about things such as the airport expansion at Heathrow, like the TfL developments, Tottenham Court Road, for example. Do some research, because there's so many papers that are out there about the projects that led to those being completed and who run the projects, but more importantly, the hiring process. So some firms, and good to see Rachel nodding there, right? Because some firms and some organizations will have preferences about what qualifications they want. So do some research, find out what they want. If you want to work for a firm that prefers the APM methodology, get yourself APM certified. If you want to go and work for a firm that will only hire PMI, PMP project managers, then that's your career path to work towards. So my advice would be, research what area of construction you want to go into, find some suitable examples, and then get yourself certified in line with that. I mean, our team can help you with that. Rachel, I mean, you'd help with that, wouldn't you, to an extent?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So like, that's one of the core things that I always express to students when we're first starting out everything together, is just being able to research. And like, even if you've done that, as you're saying, like ahead of time, before you've thought about what cert's best, just figure out, okay, if this is the job that I'm really enthusiastic about and these are the companies, have a look at their job requirements. Now don't think that every single one of them, right, you have to be hitting. I do say it's like, the 70% rule, so don't be too panicked, but do have a look to see, okay, what are the qualifications that you're talking about, and if that is something then that seems to be a common thread, and if you can research actually some of the people perhaps who are working within the company as well, who've only joined maybe within the last year or two, and you can have a look to see what's their background. Do they have any other additional certs that could give you another kind of flavor and thought about maybe something you should consider. But generally, yeah, like overall, we'll work with your situation and make sure that everything goes smoothly, irrespective. So we'll be okay.
You dropped something in there that may have not been intentional, but you said about people that join companies recently. I'm going to open up, anybody can answer this, Shah, Sam, Alex, or Lewis, whoever feels fit, right? One of the things that we always get when a lot of people come back to us after that initial consultation was, I spoke to my friend, or I spoke to my family member. I'm seeing the smiles now already, right? Because what advice would you have to somebody that says that to you, that my friend has told me I need this qualification, or my family member's been doing project management for 25 years now and they said I need this qualification or only that? What would be your constructive reply to that?
My personal response to that would be that I think it's very important that if you have a resource there to be able to speak with someone that's got experience, you should absolutely be listening to them, taking their advice. But I think it's with the knowledge that you are also interspersing it with your own research, as well as with your own thoughts in your own perspective over how relevant that is to you. Because in my years of doing this, there's absolutely good parts of the advice you can get from family members or friends, but you may be getting advice from someone that's been in the industry for 30 or 40 years when certifications weren't needed. It's only really been in the last 5 to 10 years that we've seen a rise in needing certifications. It's always been a very heavily experience-led profession. So I think it's really important when you're getting advice, it's important to listen and understand it, but do your own research and keep in perspective about where their experience comes from and if it relates to what you're looking to do. And by all means, if you're having a conversation with us already, please bring it up with us, because we love to be able to, speak with people about, what advice they've been given.
Love
I think
that.
to build on top of what Sam and Rachel have both said is that projects are absolutely in every sector. So if you have a friend or a family that's worked as a project manager in construction, that might not be applicable for what you need in, say, IT or in finance. So it's entirely up to you what industry you want to go into. Me personally, I always like to ask sort of like hobbies or interests, because if you can find a sector that you really have an interest in, you're naturally going to do better. You're going to be wanting up to go to work rather than having to. It's one of those key things that if you want to do something, you don't get bored, you don't struggle as much, because you really push yourself. And when you can find that right certification, that right job, it not only makes you feel better now, but it gives you something to aim for in the future.
Yeah, I
it.
couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
I was just like nodding the whole time, because absolutely, you're dead right. Yeah, that's something that we actively encourage for students to also think about, as you were saying, the idea of your passions and your interests. Because there's certainly an element where it's great to keep things broad at the start. Don't feel that you necessarily have to be completely hemmed in to one industry from the get-go, because that's another concern that can sometimes happen. Because you'd like to be able to feel like you can explore and maybe try, to think about varied industries. But overall, if you can hone in on what your passions are, as you said, Lewis, that's definitely the best approach to keep a clear direction in the future.
And off the back of that, I'm one that I drive my team to distraction when I talk about industry demands and being agile, no pun intended, and moving around, that sort of keeping things flexible, right? Like, the industry stats that we have are twofold. They work on, hey, what sector are you currently in? And then the follow-up question is like, what sector do you want to move into? Now, over 45% of all of our inquiries don't know what sector they want to go into. And I think at the moment, that is amazing, because it used to be about 25%, but the fact it's about over 45% just rings true about this current environment. You've got two choices. You can be scared of what's going on at the moment, or you really can embrace it. And I know that sounds quite direct, but I think it's just so true. There's never been a better opportunity to change careers and follow something that you love doing. Lewis's advice there, I think, is spot on. Vivian in the chat says that is so true, because it is. If you can find something that's a passion or an area that you want to move into, there's never been a better sector to move into it. Project management is the most in-demand job skill in the UK currently. They need 2.5 million people a year to fill project-based roles. There isn't a magic production line of experienced project managers out there hiding under rocks. It's people that are on this webinar. It's people that are inquiring every single day that are going to fill those positions at companies and in sectors they had no idea they were going to work in 6 months ago. So the opportunities out there to be a successful career changer have never been higher, never.
To kind of, again, extend onto that, with what Matt's just said there, if you are worried about what's going to happen, if you are worried, if you change careers now, if you're first in the door, we'd be first out of it as well if something went wrong with your job. But we've recently had the pandemic, obviously only a couple of years ago, really similar economic circumstances, a lot of people not sure what was happening with their jobs. In the UK, we saw 49% of all regions in the UK have their average salary for project management increase during the pandemic, which just goes to show that if things do get tough, which they are, you're in a role that is not going anywhere, but also you're valued for the advice and the work that you do as a project manager. So your salaries, your progression is not going anywhere. That will stay the same if times do get worse.
And I feel like a bit of the granddad of the group saying this, but back when I started nearly 10 years ago, we used to say to people that the reason why project management had done so well after the 2009 worldwide economic crash was that it was recession proof. You need project managers to scale up. You need project managers to scale down. I think that's sometimes the unglamorous side of the industry. You always think you're going to be building a new Olympic stadium. Sometimes you're not. Some of the best paid project management professionals out there are the ones that are able to actually take hold of a budget, a shrinking budget, and manage that appropriately. Be that downsizing a company, be it a more subdued product launch, whatever it is. Project managers are as in demand when pennies are tightened as opposed to when they're actually being thrown around a little bit more freely, to say the least. I'm aware of time, everyone. So what I want to do is just answer, because we have still got some questions that came in beforehand, just quick fire round, like 5-10 second answers. And I think that would be a great way to wrap up. Charmaine, one for you. It's coming from Darren. How can I speak with you about starting a course?
Get in contact, leave your details, and I'll give you a call back.
That's
We'll
pretty
set up
much
a
it.
consultation, yeah, and we
Yeah.
will speak about you know, what it is you want to do moving forward, and then obviously we'll recommend the correct course path for you. So yeah.
Everybody that's attended this webinar, we will obviously get one of the team to get in contact with you. Some of you, like I say, might be mid-flight, so to speak. So just pick up the phone when you see that number coming through. So Sam, I'm not very tech savvy and I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to do an online course. Is there support for this?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give you an orientation when you first come on board to familiarise you with the platform. And we have our student care team to support you every step of the way. So you'll always have help. Fantastic.
Lewis, the last time I studied was in uni about 20 years ago. I echo that feeling. Will I be able to do this? Asked Sahir.
Yes, definitely. The platform is very nice and simple, easy to use. As Charmaine mentioned, it's very interactive as well. So it's not like you're just reading loads and loads and loads. You are getting sort of like multiple choice questions here, there, really sort of like making sure the knowledge sinks in. So you can actually use it in the workplace, not just getting that certification.
That's a good one. I like that. Did I say 5-10 seconds? Okay, so Rachel, question here for you is, other providers offer a job guarantee. Is this the same with learning people? You have license to have more than 10 seconds on that one.
So what I will say is, like, absolutely, while I'd want to be very clear that we can't offer 100% of a guarantee, okay, because I think any group that is giving that remark, that's quite a false statement, okay, because nothing is 100%. We do have to work together. It's a reciprocal opportunity where, like, you have my 100% support, that's 100%, but it's definitely a work in progress. Like, what I'd say is, like, going back to that figure where it's like, you know, 97 to 99% of our students do get the jobs that they're looking for, it's because they have that very structured process that we've laid out, and if we follow each of those stages exactly as how we've designed so that it's successful, then 100% we're going to be here irrespective of timeframes and make sure that you see the opportunities that you deserve. So yeah, that's more or less what I would say there.
I think that's nailed it. Quality of service that leads to a genuine earned outcome rather than something that's quantity in terms of conditions based, should we say. That's the way that I would put that. Finally, Alex, how long do these courses take to complete?
Really, it's down to you. We give you a year for the most part to complete these courses. You know, something like the Prince 2 is foundations, roughly 20 to 30 hours. So however quickly you can get that completed, but we give you a year to do it in your own pace.
Fantastic. And it's more than enough time, to be honest. And there's one last question. It says, I work as an engineer. Can I expect a higher salary by getting certified? I think we covered that off earlier, right? But in the current climate, you've got this, it sounds really cheesy, but there's cost and value associated with every single purchase you ever make. And I think that 90% of the things that we buy, the cost outweighs the value. Education is very different and you'll get out what you put into it. You invest in a course now, 2022 job rush is coming. You know, there's going to be a mass demand for people in these roles, but they're only going to give them to people that are the best qualified, best certified, best experienced for them. All right. Stop thinking that you need the experience to get the salary increase. Stop thinking you need the experience to get the career move. You don't. You just need the right education, the right support behind you, and then higher salaries and a better future comes with it. And it's that straightforward. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Really enjoyed it. Like I said, if you are mid-flight, pick up the phone. If you're contemplating getting in touch, get in touch. We will be giving you a call over the next day or so as well. But thank you very, very much. And whatever the future holds for all of you, good luck. Hopefully it's with us. If not, yeah, just good luck. And I hope our good times there for you as well. All right. All the best. Take care.
Have a good day, guys.